Okay, good tavach, everyone. We are holding on Daf Chavtes Amid Beis. We'll start from the two dots. About 12 lines from the bottom. We're sponsored by A.B. Spry for the Fush Shalema of Taibit Roisa Bas Hinda, and for great zivugim for their daughter and grandchildren. We're sponsored by Baruch Ian, Lili Nishmas, Yaakov Chaim ben Abba, and Esther Bas Yaina, and Avram Shmuel ben Akayin, Avram ben Shmuel Akayin, and for Fush Shalema for Liba Bas Anya. We're sponsored by Shmuel Fogel, Nishmi Yaakov Zev ben Yudari, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzibri Miriam Bas Gad, Yosef ben Tzim ben Yaakov Zev, and for Shidduch for Chayat Tzivya Bas Shoshana Gittel. We're sponsored for the spiritual, emotional, and physical protection of Yeshua Menachem Mendel ben Beila Shendel Rivka, Eddie Chazan, that the Klal Yisrael should have Yeshua, the safety of the IDF and their Hatzlacha, and by Menachem Yimansky with the tefillah that all those that are looking for a zivig should find it quickly and easily. So the Gemara says on the bottom of Chav Tes Amid Beis, V'achayimit shaloy dekachavim, vinegar. Let's try to mute people here. Okay, V'achayimit shel oivdei kachavim, vinegar of a guy shaya mitchilasa yayin, that was initially wine, is awesome. So the Gemara says, well, duh, that's obvious. Shita, it's obvious. Mishum da achmet spakale yisur, because it became vinegar, should the issa go off? Rav Ashi salash meinan chaymet shelanu biyad oivik kechavim, that if we leave our vinegar in the hands of a guy with one seal, ain't sarach chaysim b'sei chaysim. It doesn't need a seal within a seal. Why? Because imishim in suche, if that we should worry that they should take your vinegar and do a libation, like menasche, they don't do libations with vinegar. The imish mechlufe, you're worried that they might take your superior vinegar and switch it for their vinegar, which was from wine. Since it has one seal, like tarach mezayif, they're not going to bother to forge the seal just to get a little better vinegar. Amar Rabbi Ilah, Shaninu yayin mevushel shaloi dekachavim, cooked wine of a guy. Now we know that they don't do nisachin with cooked wine. That's why there's no problem of yayin nesach with cooked wine. But yayin mevushel shaloi dekachavim shoyu mitchilasa yayin, that was originally regular wine, also. So the Gemara says, well, of course, because when it was regular wine before it cooked, they might have done nesach with it. Pshita, mishum de'ifshel, if they cooked it, pakale yisur, should the issa go off? Amar Rav Ashi, again, ha'asalash minan, it's coming to teach us the following, that yayim avushel shalanu b'yad oivdei kachavim, if we give cooked wine to a guy, ain't tzarech chaysim b'sei chaysim. It doesn't need to have a seal within a seal, because imishum in suchei, that we're worried that they used it for nesach, loy menasche. They don't do nesach with yayim avushel. The imishum echlufe, and again, if we're worried that they're going to switch it, kevan ikar chaysim echad, once there's one seal, loy tarach mezayif, they're not going to forge the seal just to switch our cooked wine for their cooked wine. Tan Rabbanan. Yayin mavushel, va'aluntis shel oivei kechavim asurin. Cooked wine. And aluntis is a concoction of wine which has added to it balsam. It's asurin. The reason why it's asur is because they might have done nesach before they cooked it or before they made it into aluntis. But aluntis kibriyasa. But if the guy buys aluntis from a yid, then moteris, then you're allowed to buy it back from him, because once it's mixed with the balsam, they're not going to do nisach with it. Ve'ezui aluntis, what's aluntis? Kedetanya Gabi Shabbos, like we learned in Hilchos Shabbos, Oisin Anumlin, you could make Anumlin on Shabbos. This is, we're going to see wine with pepper. Ve'ein Oisin Aluntis, but you can't make Aluntis. Ve'ezui Anumlin, ve'ezui Aluntis. Inoinlin Yayin Dvasha Pulpulin. That's wine, honey, and pepper. So that's a beverage. So that you can make on Shabbos because it's not for medicinal purposes. However, Aluntis is yayin yoshin, aged wine, umayim tzelulim, and clear water. Va'afarsimim, that they do, the avdul lebei masusa, they use it when they come out of the bathhouse, it cools them off. And that you're not allowed to make on Shabbos because that's a gezeira, since it's made for refuah, that's a gezeira because of shchika samamonim. You might come to make herbs, grind herbs, the regular Isser about doing things for refuah on Shabbos. Rabbi and Rabbi Yosef Dimrei Travayu, Rabbi and Rabbi Yosef both say, Yayin Mozug, Ein By Mishum Gilui. There's no problem with leaving blended wine, that means wine mixed with water, overnight, because once the wine is mixed with the water, the snake is not going to drink from it. And Yayin Mavushal, Ein By Mishum Nisach. And cooked wine, there's no problems with libations because they're not going to do libations with cooked wines. Ibayelu, yayin mavushal yesh by mishum gilui or yayin by mishum gilui. Cooked wine, if you leave it outside overnight, you have to worry that the snake drank from it. Tajma, Heyed Reb Yaakov Bar Idi, al yayin mavushal she'ein by mishum gilui. Cooked wine, the snake won't drink from it, and therefore it's not a problem. Rabbi Yanai Bar Yishmael Cholosh. Rabbi Yanai Bar Yishmael took ill. Rabbi Yishmael ben Zayred v'Rabbanan l'shiyulei bei. Rabbi Yishmael ben Zayred v'Rabbanan went up to inquire about him. Now, there's a few things that we should be medayik over here. First of all, it says when going to visit the sick, it says they went up because it says the shechina is by the head of a sick man's bed, and therefore, when you go to the shechina, you're going up. That's why I always maintain that if a person goes to visit somebody who's ill, who's seriously ill, is an Indian to wear Shabbos begotten. To put on your Shabbos sticker hat, your Shabbos sticker clothing, because you're going to the Shechina. That's the whole idea why we try to do Kiddush Levana on Motzi Shabbos, because we're going to greet the Shechina, and then we're wearing our Shabbos sticker begotten. The second thing is that it says that they went, it doesn't say they simply went to visit him. It says l'shiyulei bei, to inquire of him. This is the idea of bikur chaylim, to see if he needed something. But we'll see that there's another reason why it says l'shiyulei bei. When a tzaddik was ill, so they went to show that he was needed. So they asked him things to imply that Hashem can't take him away because we need his scholarship. And that's what happened over here. Yosvei v'Kamabai, they were sitting and asking, Yayim avushal yesh by mishum gilui or ain by mishum gilui. Cooked wine, is there a problem of a snake taking from it or not? Amalu Rabbi Yishmael ben Zirud, Hachi Amar Reb Shimon Lakish mishum Gavra Rabba. So did Reb Shimon Lakish say in the name of a great man, Umanu Reb Chia. Who is that great man, Reb Chia? Yayim avushal, cooked wine, ain by mishum gilui. There's no problem of it being left uncovered. Amrulei, so they said, they asked Rabbi Yanai Bar Yishmael, Nismoich, could we rely on this? Machvalu Rabbi Yanai Bar Yishmael, so Rabbi Yanai Bar Yishmael showed them, alive out Savari. I accepted it on me and upon my neck, it's on my neck. You could rely that Yayim Avushal, there's no problem if you left it out overnight, the snake won't drink. So you see, they showed that Rabbi Yanai Bar Yishmael was needed. Shmuel va'avleit havayosvei. Avleit was a pagan. So Shmuel va'avleit havayosvei. Aisel the kamayu chamra mavashla. They brought before them cooked wine. Now Avleit, who was respectful of Shmuel, mashke liyadei. He made sure to withdraw his hands, not to touch the wine. Amalei Shmuel, so Shmuel told him, you don't have to withdraw because Hari Amru Yayim Avushal Ein By Mishum Yayin Esa. There's no problem with cooked wine that it's yain nesach. Perhaps Avleit didn't know that it was cooked wine. Am say to Rabbi Chia, igal yelei ahu chamra mavashla. The maidservant Rabbi Chia, there was revealed some cooked wine. Ask you to come into Rabbi Chia. She came before Rabbi Chia to ask if it was allowed to be, one could drink it, or if it was dangerous. Amra lei, so he said to Amra la, he said to her, Hari Amru Yaim Mavushal Ain by Mishim Gilui. There's no problem of uncovering by cooked wine. Okay, with the coming over here of 34 Zoomers, I think we could already welcome everybody in, as we welcome in Rabbi Kranz and Irving Fishbaum, Dr. Guy, Michal, Mo Kushner, A.B. Spry, Yaakov Warman, Menachem Umansky, Mel Zachter, Saba, Shimon Klein, Ben Zion Cohn, Shelley Zeitlin. Shelley, you're feeling a little better? Good. Yitzi Fuchs, Shimon Deer, great to have you, Shimon. Dr. Black, Yisrael Fisher, Eddie Chazan. I'm not sure who that is. That's Barry Cement. But who is that next to Barry? Moshe Lehman, Barish Gesselman, Stephen Holtzman, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg. Is that? Oh, that's Chaim Kramer. Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Gitzi Muller, Nachman Chappell, Ilya Shutman, Abe Arbach, Richard Rosenzweig, Chaim Braun, Danny Vogel, Naftali Jablin, good to have you, Naftali, and David Helfgott, as the night is just starting over here with 34 Zoomers. The Gemara continues.
Rabbi Weiss, where are we up to, please?
We are holding on Daf Lamed Amid Beis, and we are holding by, let's see, give you the best coordinates over here. We're holding 7 lines from the intermediate lines on Daf Lamed Amid Aleph. 7 lines above the intermediate lines. Shamei de Ravada Barava, the attendant of Ravada Barava, Igal Yelei Chamra Meziga. Some blended wine was left overnight. Amalei, so Ravada Barava told him, Hari Amru Yayim Mozagain by Mishim Gilui. There's no problem, because blended wine, there's no problem of it being usher because of a snake. Amra Papa Loy Amrin Ela de Mezig Tuva. We only said this when it's blended well, 2 parts water to 1 part wine. Aval Mezig V'loy Mezig, but if there's just a little bit water in it, Shasi, the snake will drink from it. Says the Gemara, Mezig V'loy Mezig Mi Shasi. If it only has a little water, will it drink? They were going on a boat. They had wine with them. They saw a snake was slithering towards the wine. So he told his attendant, knock out this snake's eye. In other words, put a little water in it. Shkil kalimaya. He took a little water, shidabe, v'sar la'achure, and the snake turned away. So we see from over here that even a little bit of water keeps it away. Says the Gemara, no. There it's because the snake saw people standing there. So achaya, on raw wine, maser nafshe. It'll risk its life and go after it even if people are standing there. Amaziga, but where it's even a little diluted, loy maser nafshe. Says the Gemara, v'amaziga loy maser nafshe. It doesn't risk its life when it's blended. Rabbi Yanai have a Be'ach Borei. Rabbi Yanai was in the town of Be'ach Borei. V'imri la Barhedya have a Be'ach Borei. Barhedya was in Be'ach Borei. Have a Yosef have a Kashas Chamra Maziga. They were drinking diluted wine. Paslu Chamra Bekuva. They had some wine in the barrel. V'tzarnui beparvanka, and they tied it with a cloth. V'chazya lahu chivya. They saw a snake, the shakal maya v'rama bekuva. It was throwing water into the barrel, ad demaloi bekuvna, until the barrel was filled, and it could reach it, v'salak chamre ilve parvanka, and the wine came above the cloth, and then Vishasi, he drank it. Says the Gemara, that's different, because there the snake diluted it. Imre demazig ihu shasi. That which he dilutes himself, that the snake will drink. The mezige achrina lo shasu. Now, if you notice, the Gemara had said that they were drinking chamra meziga. So that implies that it was blended before. So what's the Gemara's answer? So the Mefarshim say over here that we take out the word meziga. Initially it was raw wine. Amar Rav Ashi, so Rav Ashi says, will you give such an answer for a sakana? Rather, he holds that once we saw that snakes drink blended wine, all blended wine is usher. In other words, Rav Ashi argues on which we said blended wine is safe. He holds, since we saw that a snake did it, he held that the teretz, that there's a difference between the water that the snake throws in and other water, that's already a doichik teretz to say, to rely in the case of sakana. Rather, all blended wine should be suspect. Amar of Rava, now the bottom line. What's the bottom line? As we welcome in Ruvain Shannon and Dr. Eisenberg, great to have them joining us on this Motzei Shabbos, where we already have here tonight 35 Zoomers. 35 Zoomers is nothing to sneeze at. Learning together at 11:10 in the evening. What a Kiddush Hashem. So Amar Rava, Hilkasa, the law is Yayin Mozug Yesh By Mishum Gilui. As we said, blended wine, we have to be suspicious that the snake might drink it. V'yesh By Mishum Yayin Esach, and that they might use it for a libation. Yayin Mavushal, on the other hand, cooked wine, Ein By Mishum Gilui, there's no problem of leaving it overnight. Cooked wine a snake won't drink from. Ve'ein by mishum yayin esach, and they won't use it for a libation, as we welcome in Michal Avram Chavin for our 36th Zoomer of the evening. All right, that's already a very nice number, 36 Zoomers, as Michal Avram joins us here. Says the Gemara,
Where are we?
Where are we? We're in South Fallsburg, New York. We are holding a Daf Lamed Amid Aleph, and we're holding towards the bottom. Let's give you the best coordinates. We are holding by Shamei de Rav Chilkiah bar Tuvei, which is 2 lines above the very wide lines on Daf Lamed Amud Aleph. 2 lines above the very wide lines on Daf Lamed Amud Aleph. So,
Rabbi, can I ask, is Yain Mavushal identifiable visibly to the non-Jew? Why would they see that it's Mavushal as opposed to...
Yeah, it was. They take a little taste of it and they could see it's pasteurized wine.
Thank you. Got it.
And obviously it's visible to a snake.
Rabbi, what prevents the snake from adding water to diluted wine and then drinking it?
No, we said that diluted doesn't help. Regular wine is certainly asur. Even if it's diluted, it's asur.
Right, but we said that the snake won't drink from diluted wine.
No, that's not the maskana of the Gemara. The maskana is Hilchas Yayin Mozeg Yesh By Mishum Gilui. That diluted wine is a problem of Gilui.
But also they used to talk about Shaidim.
Yisrael, do you understand?
I think so. We can go on, yeah.
What do you mean you think so? Yayin Mozeg Yesh By Mishum Gilui.
Mm-hmm.
So diluted wine is forbidden because we're worried that a snake might drink from it.
Okay. Got it.
Now, Shamei de Rav Chilkiah bar Tuvei, the attendant of Rav Chilkiah bar Tuvei, Igalya, he kissed the Maya. He had a kista of water, a container of water, that became uncovered. However, Vahavanayim Gaba, he was sleeping next to it. The question is, the fact that he was sleeping next to it, was that considered enough of a shmira that a snake would be afraid to drink from it? So also the Gabe Rav Chilkiah bar Tuvi, Amalei, so Rav Chilkiah bar Tuvi said, Hare Amru Eimas Yoshin Aleyan. The fear of a sleeping person is upon them, and they would be afraid to come. However, Vahani Mili Biyamama, but that's only in the day. Ava Belel Yaloi, but a person in the night sleeps much more heavily, and then they're not afraid to come if he's sleeping. However, Veloihi, that's not the halacha. The halacha is Loishna Biyamama, Veloishna Belelia, Eimas Yoshin Aleyan Lo Yamrina. We don't say that when they're sleeping the snake is afraid. Rather, the snake sees that the guy's eyes are closed and he'll come to drink from it, and therefore it's a problem to leave it uncovered. Rav lo yishasi mibei arma. Rav would not drink water from a guy. Omar, he said, lo zehirei begilui. They're not covered, they're not makpid if something is uncovered. Mibei armalta shasi. But from the house of a widow, he was makpid. Now, even if the widow doesn't know about the halach of gilui, but since her husband trained her, she still adopts the customs of her husband, and she wouldn't leave it uncovered. Amar sircha de gavra nikita, she still follows the ways of her husband. Shmuel leishase maya mibei amalta. Shmuel would not drink water from almana because she doesn't know the halacha. And Amar lesla aimsa de gavra, she's not worried by her husband. She was afraid he would get upset, but he's not alive anymore. V'loi mechas yamai, and therefore she won't cover the water. But from a guy he would drink. Now, even though even though they're not worried about the water being uncovered because of a snake, but they're worried about things falling into the water. They're worried about cleanliness, and therefore they cover the water because of that. Right? Others say, Rav Rav would not drink from a guy, but from a widow he would drink because she still did the custom of her husband. He wouldn't drink from a guy because he's not makpid in Gilui, and he wouldn't drink from a Malta because she's not afraid of her husband anymore. Okay, again, let's try to mute everybody over here.
This is a safety issue then. Why wouldn't going be makpid?
What?
This is a safety.
They're not so makpid. They don't think it's such a chance. We take a chance because we hold chamira sakanta meisura. They're not so careful. Now, Rabbi Shimon Levi shalosh yainoi saying there are three types of wine. Ve'ein bahem mishum gilui, and there's no problem of leaving it out by a snake. Ve'eluhein chad if it's sharp wine, mar if it's bitter wine, or masuk if it's sweet wine. Chad, that's tila harifa. That's a strong wine called tila harifa. Why? It's so strong, dimitzore zike, that when you put it in a barrel, sometimes the barrel bursts because it's so strong. Mar, that's yarnica. Yarnica is a type of bitter wine. And the third type is masuk, a sweet wine. That's chulya. Chulya means sweet. Rav Chana maskin liluya. While the first version, those three wines were inferior wines, Rav Chana says that the three wines are superior wines. Chad, that's chamar upilpolin. That's wine with pepper. Mar, that's sintin. That's wine with wormwood. And masuk, that's maybarg. Maybarg is a superior sweet wine. All three of these, there's no worry of gilui because the snake won't drink from it either because of its sweetness, its bitterness, or its sharpness. Amar Shimon Lakish, karyena. This is a wine called karyena. Ein by mishum gilui, has no problem of being left uncovered. My karyena. Amar Rabbi Avo, Chamra Chalya Da'asi Ma'asya. It's sweet wine that comes from Asia, but in Asia you're not allowed to drink it if it was left uncovered. Amar Rava b'mekayma yesh by mishum gilui. If you leave it uncovered in Asia, then it is a problem because that's the wine. My time Medina, that's the wine that they used to, and therefore they're going to drink from it. Amar Rava, hay chamra da'akrim, wine that starts to turn sour. The first 3 days, you can't leave it overnight, and they still will use it for libation. But after 3 days, it's too sour, the snake won't drink from it, and they won't use it for libations. Even after 3 days, you can't leave it outside overnight. My timer because zimna mikri v'shasi. Sometimes the snake will drink from it. Tanrabanan, 4 lines from the top of Daf Lamed Amid Beis. Lamed means learning, and it's really nice to be learning here with 36 zoomers. You know, I don't take it for granted. 36 zoomers is 3.5 minyanim plus. So that's, you know, that's Rabbi say, that's really the way to go. I'm proud of everybody. And we're still missing a lot of people. Marshall isn't here, and Mark isn't here, Aaron Swade isn't here, Shalom Fogel isn't here. We're still missing a lot of people. So our core people are growing, which is very good, and it should grow more and more. Yetz Hashem. Avigdor Fried isn't here with us. Okay. Tonu Rabbanan. Yayin toises, fermenting wine. Ain by mishum gili, because while the wine is fermenting, the snake stays away from it. V'kamatisi sasai, and how long is the fermenting process? Gimel yomim, 3 days. Hashiklayim, wine that you added cress to, ain by mishum gili. Ubinei goyla, but the people of the diaspora, nagam by iser, they practice an issa that even if cress was in it, they didn't leave it outside. But that's only if it doesn't have vinegar. If vinegar was added to it, that scares them away, the vinegar, and therefore there's no problem of gilui. Babylonian mayonnaise, which is made out of salt, whey of milk, and moldy breadcrumbs. Ein by mishum gilui, and again, b'nei goyla nagam ben issa, they wouldn't leave it overnight. Amar Rav Menashe isbei nikure, even us, if we see peckings in it, marks that something tasted from it, then chayshin, and then we have to worry about a snake. Amar Rav Chia bar Ashi Amar Shmuel made tif. If the water drips into the barrel, drip, drip, tif is like, it's anamanapiyah. Tif, it's drop into the barrel. Ain by mishum gili, because if the water is dripping into it, it scares the snake, and the snake won't drink from it. But Amar Rav Ashi, v'hu david tif ladi tif. That's only if it was a constant dripping. But if it was an interruption to the dripping, the snake might have drank from it during the time of the interruption. Amar Rav Chia bar Ashi Amar Shmuel, pi te'ena. You know, if you have a fig, when you pull out the stem, there's a hole in it. So if you left the fig overnight, maybe the snake drank from the juice. No, ein by mishum gilui. There's no problem of leaving it out overnight. Kaman ke'ai tana. Who's this going like? Like the following Tana. The Tani Rabbi Lazar Aimer Oichel Adam Anovim Te'ena Balayla. A person could eat grapes and figs in the night. They don't have to worry that maybe during the day they would see some marks, some bite marks on it. Hashem guards the simple. We say Shemer P'sayim Hashem when it's a very unlikely chance, and therefore leaving the fig with a hole in it also is Shemer P'sayim Hashem. Hashem protects the simple. Amar Rav Safra Mishum Rabbi Yeshua Doraima. Rav Safra said in the name of Rabbi Yeshua from the south. This is coming to differentiate from the regular Rabbi Yeshua quoted in Shas. This is Rabbi Yeshua from the south. So Amar Rav Safra Mishum Rabbi Yeshua Doraima. Shloisha mine eresen. There are 3 types of venoms of the snake. Shel bacher, the venom of a young snake is very thick, and shekeya, it sinks down to the bottom. Shel beinani mefafeya, an average snake, a middle-aged snake, the venom floats in the middle. Vishel zakein, of an old snake, tzaf, floats on the top. Says the Gemara, Lememra de kama de koshish chele. Do you mean to imply that a snake, the older it gets, the weaker it becomes? V'atanya shloisha kol zman shemaskinan. 3, the more they get old, gvura mitosefes bahem. The older they get, the stronger they become. And Elohein, dog, a fish, nachash, a snake, the chazir, and a pig. So here you see that a snake, the older it gets, the stronger it gets. Says the Gemara, it might get stronger, but its venom gets weaker. Kayach is sufeu de kamaisif, they get stronger, but ziarei kalish, but their venom is weaker. Says the Gemara, shel bacher shekei al mai hilchasa. What's the practical import that a young snake, the venom sinks to the bottom? The Tanya chavius sheniskalsa. If a barrel became uncovered, even though 9 people drank from it and didn't die, because maybe the snake drank from it, but it sank all the way to the bottom. Indeed, there was a Maisa, 9 people drank from it, and therefore the 10th person said, I'm safe. And the 10th person drank because he drank from the bottom where the venom was, and tragically he died. Rabbi Yirmiyah says, this is the significance that we say that the venom sinks to the bottom. And likewise, a melon that got uncovered, so even though 9 people ate from it and didn't die, a 10th person shouldn't eat from it. 9 people ate, they didn't die. And the 10th person died. That's because the venom sinks towards the bottom. Tan Rabbanan. I remember Rabbi say, so many wonderful people here. Let's all remember to learn to be mekayim the mitzvahs asay of v'dibar tabam la'asais nachas ruach liyitzreinu. Tan Rabbanan, mayim shenizgalu, water that was left uncovered, harizelo yishpachem b'rishus harab. One shouldn't spill it in the public area because a person might walk barefoot and it might enter into his feet. V'lo yarbetz ben hasabayis. When they used to have earthen floors, they would sometimes take water to sprinkle to keep the dust down. You shouldn't do that again because the water will get in the house. You shouldn't knead with it clay, because as you're kneading the clay with the water and pressing the water into your hands over and over, it might enter into your bloodstream. You shouldn't give to drink your own animal or someone else's animal. Your own animal, because it might die and be bal tashlis. And someone else's animal, you might damage somebody else's animal. You shouldn't wash your hands, your face, your hands or your feet with such water. A place where there's incline for the water to rest is also. So if it could sit, let's say it could sit on the lines of the palm, etc., or in a crevice of the body, so there it's also because the water will sit and absorb into the bloodstream. Ain't sir to mutter. There's no aklein. Achayim, so the Gemara says, isn't achayim hainu tanakama. The Tanakama also says in places where there is like between the fingers and the lines of the hand, etc. Says the Gemara, ikebena gava yad v'gava regel, the top of the hand and the top of the foot, v'rumone de ape, and the cheekbones. So in these cases, the acherim, since there's no place for the water to collect, it would be forbidden. It would be permitted. According to the Tanakama, it would be forbidden. Amamar lo yashke mehem lo behemtoi v'lo behemes chavere. Says the Gemara, "Ay v'tanya v'mashkeu lo behemes atzmai." You are allowed to give mayim megulin to your own animals. Why isn't it a problem about tashlis? Kitanya hi l'shunra. That's your cat, because the venom of a snake is not forbidden to a cat. Says the Gemara, then it should be permitted to somebody else's cat too. Why is it somebody else's cat is not allowed? Says the Gemara, because the cat will be weakened. Says the Gemara, then didei nami kochish, then why should you do it to your animal? It'll also become weakened. Says the Gemara, hadabari. It's not permanent. Its strength will be restored. Says the Gemara, then nami hadabari. So then your friend's cat will also get restored. So what's wrong with giving the uncovered water to your friend's cat? Says the Gemara, dilma zimnin debayla zvune. Maybe when you give him the uncovered water, he wanted to try to sell the cat, and now that you weakened him, you would stop him from being able to sell it. Okay, we're just going to pause a moment over here, Rabbi Isai, to change the channel.